Hello and welcome to day 4 of Monica and my 5-day Kickstarter challenge. We're nearing the end, and today we're going to talk about your funding goal. Now, there are a couple of ways to think about your funding goal. For me, for this campaign, I had to fund the entire thing. It was literally all or nothing. I couldn't do it because of all of the art and all of the printing costs and all of the shipping costs. I literally couldn't do it if we didn't reach this entire goal. That's probably not going to be true for you, especially if you're thinking about doing this as the beginning of your publishing journey. So you're talking about doing a bigger launch on Amazon and all of the other retailers. That's not usually possible for Kickstarters. We have to really get most of the money for a book up front, and then we can sell it at conventions a little bit down the road later. But really, it's sort of, you get a bunch of money now, and then you don't make any money or very little money in the future. So that is the big problem with comics. That doesn't happen with novels. With novels, you're usually using this to make a little bit more money to help you break even on costs, and then at the end, you're going to have a much bigger launch using that marketing money and et cetera, other thing. For me, I always tell people the reason you use Kickstarter is to break even on your production costs so that you can go into your launch free and clear. Now, if you can do that, that's most of publishing. Most of publishing is a war of attrition that you live to fight the next day. So if that is the case for you, I highly recommend starting the first time with a $250 or $500 goal. Something that is very attainable because probably you have your book already done, or you're working to have your book done and you're just trying to add a little bit of money to your campaign. And if that's the case, we want to get you a baseline of how much you can raise. You don't want to put $5,000 because you're probably not going to raise $5,000. Most of the people in our group, the first amount of time they run through it, a campaign, they're raising from somewhere between 25 and 50 backers, maybe 100, and making about $1,000 to $5,000. Some of them, though, are making less than that. And I want to make sure that you don't spend your time on a goal and then you're not going to be able to fund it. So I'd much rather you go low and then overfund than do the opposite. So really quickly, if you want to make a full budget, these are the 7 pieces of a Kickstarter budget. So these are the 7 pieces. I'm going to go through them really quickly. Project creation, production, distribution, marketing, admin fees, your time, and contingency. And usually 6 and 7 are often combined together, and we'll talk about that in a second. So the first thing is project creation. That is how much money it's going to take you to make your book or make your project and get to the end of the creation stage so that you actually have a book that can be sent to a printer and can be sent out. So editors, proofreaders, cover design, yada, 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 ISBNs, all of that stuff goes into project creation. Production then is getting you from project creation. You send the book out, you get all of your, and until you get all of the pieces in to send your books in. So if you're getting pins or plushes or whatever that is, all of that is the production stage. You're producing the products you're going to send out. And step 3 is distribution. That is you getting the books, everything from shipping material to buying stamps and postage, to gas to get you to the distribution center or your post office, to getting everything in the mail. And that is part 3. And please do remember your shipping fees, and especially international costs, because they can kill your campaign. Step 4 is marketing. You're probably not going to have a lot of money for marketing. Bigger campaigns have up to 30% of your campaign and creation budget for marketing. But I'll be honest, the campaign that we're doing now, I spent about $200 on marketing for that, and we raised $24,000. So you can do a lot with a very little. But if you want to do advertising, especially if you want to do advertising, I don't recommend doing advertising unless your average pledge level is $50, which means that people are averaging $50 when they pledge. Some will pledge $5, some will pledge $100, and you get $50 somewhere in the middle there. Also, if you do public relations, I highly recommend you don't hire a public relations person unless you know that you have some sort of newsworthiness of your book. which is like either it's a really popular genre, or you're a really popular author, or you're using a really popular like Cthulhu or something that can get people to click. Because the goal of public relations is to send out press releases and then have those people contact you for reviews and interviews and all of that other cool stuff. And they're not going to do that if like they don't have some sort of newsworthiness of your campaign, and it'll just all go to naught. And if you're going to do that, public relations 3 months before the campaign at least, hopefully 6 months before the campaign, and then ads to start drumming up interest a month before the campaign, a very little bit before the campaign, and then turn the floodgates on once it launches. Administration fees. Kickstarter takes 5%, plus then they charge 3 to 5% in management and payment management. On top of the fact that you could lose pledges because Kickstarter doesn't take money into the end of the campaign, and then some campaigns will have error. Some cards can error. I always recommend just budgeting 10% on top of that. And on top, and then to go back to that the distribution slide, I use a program called BackerKit. There's also other ones like Pledgebox. You could use Blackbox or ShipBob or some other thing to ship. Whatever you're using is also going to charge a fee, and I always add that in. So it's really 12% usually that I do for administrative fees. The last two I'll talk about together. Budget your time. It's really important. Campaigns are not easy, and you want to make sure you have something for your money at the end of the day, even if it's buying a $5 boba tea or something. Like, budget for something that you are going to get after you get this campaign in. And then contingency is 10 to 15% of your budget, just in case stuff goes wrong. Now, here's where I cheat. My time is the contingency budget. If nothing goes wrong, I get paid the contingency amount. If something goes wrong, I do not get paid, and so it incentivizes me to make sure that I get that nothing goes wrong or as little goes wrong as possible. Taxes and company formation. It is revenue, so talk to your accountant. This is not tax advice. This is not legal advice. Go talk to your accountant about how to set up a company. Go talk to your lawyer about the best way to insulate yourself. It does cost money, but like if you're going to be doing this for long term, it is a good idea. I will say the one thing that I know for sure is the worst part of this is carryover inventory. That means if you get 100 books in 2022 and you only sell 50 in 2022 and you carry over 50 into 2023, you cannot write off the 50 books that you carry over into the next year. So that can really screw you if you're not prepared for it. So it is the worst part of owning a publishing company and owning a physical goods company, and it's just something you have to deal with. You get to write those off as you sell them. So that's basically what I have to say about budgeting and all of that stuff. Your goal now is to figure out your budget. Figure out your budget and put it in the group and tell us how much you're going to try and raise. And I look forward to seeing you in the final day.